Day 3 of the Berry Hall retrial continued in Floyd County, and today we heard from Hall himself.
Kentucky lawmakers are expected to vote and advance a sports wagering bill that the governor says could help the state and its finances over the next 2 years.
Gloomy skies and scattered rain chances continue as we head into the end of the week, but when does sunshine return? I'll have that answer right now at 6.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
Today marked Day 3 in the retrial for Berry Hall. He's accused of killing Alan and Lisa Tackett in Floyd County back in 2008. Yesterday, we heard 911 calls and an interview the day of his arrest. Earlier today, we heard from Hall himself about what led up to the killings. Hall and his attorneys do not deny he shot the Tacketts. WYMT's Connor James breaks down their defense.
We did hear several people testify today, but the testimony that lasted the longest was from Berry Hall himself.
Have a seat on the witness stand.
As Hall took the stand, his attorneys questioned him about the day of the shooting and his past. During recalling the shooting and the children's reaction to the Tackett's death is when Hall broke down.
But do you feel like, even though you knew right and wrong, that you couldn't help what you were doing?
The defense is arguing Hall had no control over his actions. Hall mentioned in court he blacked out.
The only people that you shot because of this uncontrollable anger just happened to be the only two people there that you hated. Isn't that true?
No, I didn't hate them.
The prosecution, on the other hand, says Hall's actions were deliberate. All 3 shots they say he fired hit the Tacketts, and that Hall was purposeful in what he did after, including picking up the shells and wiping prints from the gun.
You think that might have been what upset you?
I don't know what upset me.
Well, did that upset you?
I don't know what upset me.
Now, there is testimony scheduled for tomorrow morning at about 9 a.m. After that, it's believed that the jury will get this case, and from there, they will deliver a verdict. I'm in Floyd County. Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
A jury convicted Hall in 2012 for murdering the Tacketts, but in 2015, the Kentucky Supreme Court ordered a new trial. Justices cited pictures during the trial that were not needed for overturning the conviction. Tonight, Alyssa Noble is back behind bars. You might remember last year she bonded out of jail. The sheriff in Leslie County found her today at a pharmacy in Hyden. That violated her conditions of release. Officials tell us she appeared to be under the influence. You might remember Noble is the woman who faces murder and assault charges in connection to a 2017 crash that killed Paige Hayes and severely injured another primary care employee. Hayes' mother told us she's happy Noble is back in jail.
And it was a relief to get the trial date again in July, but it's more of a relief to have her back in jail because she, to be honest, she doesn't act like she is responsible for anything that's happened.
Jailer Danny Clark told us they tried to give Noble a drug test, but she tried to cheat by using toilet water. Then they took her to a clinic for a blood test that will be sent off. Noble faces public intoxication and tampering with evidence charges. Her trial in the crash is set for July 21st. A Perry County man faces federal charges. Quentin Jace Combs was arrested and booked into the Laurel County Detention Center today. A federal grand jury indicted him last week on 2 counts. Prosecutors argue between March and September, Combs received inappropriate pictures or videos of a child under 12 years old. A cell phone and SD card were taken from Combs. If convicted, he faces up to a 20-year sentence on each charge. We now know the name of the person killed yesterday in a Pike County crash. State police tell us the man's name is Quentin Bentley. He is from Honaker, Virginia. What led to the crash remains under investigation. Bentley and the driver of another car collided early Tuesday morning on Route 805. The other driver was taken to a hospital. Their condition and name is not known. Meanwhile, we are still waiting for state police to release more in-depth information about an officer-involved shooting which happened about 100 yards away from that deadly crash. As of now, they have not released the name of the person killed or the officer involved.
Most of us have dealt with those cloudy skies today, but some of us got in on a little bit of sunshine if you were down into parts of maybe the Cumberland Valley, but mostly if you're over into Wise. We'll go ahead and take you up into the RUVA Wise camera. We were seeing that mixture of kind of sun and clouds throughout the day, but overall they did see those mostly cloudy skies. And looking into Jackson, cloudy skies right now, 37 degrees, so a little bit on the chilly side. I'm not convinced that they even got out of the 30s today after all the cloud cover that we've seen. You can see that here on satellite and radar. Some areas got peaks of sunshine. Now we're starting to bring in a few of those rain chances, and yes, it could be a little bit of some snow as we head into tonight. A little bit of a mix depending on those temperatures. Now most of us dropping into those lower 30s a little bit later tonight and early for your Thursday, which we will continue to see that rain/snow possible late tonight, early into tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up in just a few short minutes.
All right, thank you, Paige. Floyd County communities are growing more optimistic about the opening of the Southeast Kentucky Correctional Facility. With the recent proposed budget by Governor Andy Beshear, officials tell WYNT's Buddy Forbes they are hoping to see movement soon.
The economic struggles that people of Eastern Kentucky face are all too familiar.
Today, with the economy the way it is, we're fighting for every job we need.
Some communities, like Willwright, are just looking for a leg up.
The prison's been here for such a long time, they didn't realize how economically benefit that it was for it to be here until it was gone.
Which is why the Floyd County community is growing more hopeful that the former Otter Creek prison will soon reopen as the Southeast Kentucky Correctional Facility.
We're excited that it was included in the budget. That's going to be big for our local economy.
Governor Andy Beshear introduced his proposed budget Tuesday, including funds that would help move the prison forward.
That's great. That shows that they are committed, and it also gives a little more stability in the future.
It is a future that many in Willwright have been hoping tirelessly for.
Everybody is really wanting this to come back.
They believe the potential state jobs would create a much-needed surge in the area.
200 people plus, family members that's going to be visiting our restaurants or gas stations, be housing for their community.
And give them the resources needed to grow.
Clean the cities up, clean ditches up, do infrastructure. So all in all, it's a great thing.
The chance to become a thriving community again. In Floyd County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Judge Executive Robbie Williams says the prison would not only benefit Floyd County, but surrounding counties as well. Starting next week, you can expect extensive delays on Combs Road and Kentucky 15 in Perry County. Crews will be placing beams for a new bridge starting 1 week from today. They expect to have 9 beams placed by Friday, February 7th. Traffic will be delayed between 8:30 in the morning to 2:45 in the afternoon. Meanwhile, in Whitley County, we're getting a new look at the progress being made on a new welcome center. Here's a look at the construction site. The previous welcome center closed in October to be rebuilt. Officials said the old building was simply deteriorating. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet expects to have the new welcome center open by this coming fall. Demolition is underway on an old shopping center in Hazard. The demolition, which started today, is going to provide room for 15 new homes. The homes will be available for low-income families. The executive director of the Housing Development Alliance, Scott McReynolds, says this project will also benefit the city. Officials say they hope to have most of the work completed in 2 years. A bill that could allow you to legally bet on sporting events in Kentucky is garnering support on both sides of the aisle. But is it enough for it to pass, become law, and funnel millions of dollars into Kentucky's coffers? The bill easily passed through a committee but has not yet received a vote in the full House. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on the bill and what's next for the high-profile piece of legislation.
Taxes and fees on sports bets could make its way into revenue for Kentucky.
And in a budget year, when you're looking at $22.5 million, that could help fill budget holes.
House Bill 137 would allow legal sports wagering on pro sports and even college teams like the University of Kentucky.
You'll be able to go to the racetrack. So in Lexington, that would actually be Red Mile, who I think is going to operate jointly with Keeneland.
But opponents say this is nothing more than expanded gambling and say that it requires a constitutional amendment that you would vote on and that you would approve. The Conservative Family Foundation testified against the bill when it was heard in committee, but it still passed unanimously. But Koenig says this is not expanded gambling because wagers are more than just chance.
And it is a skill-based rather than complete chance. And so when it's skill-based, it doesn't need a constitutional amendment.
So I urge this legislature to find ways to generate more revenue without raising taxes.
Governor Beshear included money from sports wagering in his budget, and he wants legislators to eventually take it a step further.
Is it moving into the future that we can embrace full expanded gaming to compete with Indiana, Ohio, and the rest of our neighbors?
Kentuckians have built roads and schools and parks and other things in Indiana.
Please rise. For the
opponents say the bill will find its toughest test in the Senate. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
The bill has more than 30 co-sponsors, both Republicans and Democrats, and needs just 51 votes to pass the House. Governor Andy Beshear and the First Lady are encouraging you to shop and share to help survivors of domestic violence. Here's how Shop and Share works. While you grocery shop, you can pick up toiletries or food and donate it to domestic violence shelters. There will be a special bin in the store for those items, and they will be forwarded to a domestic violence shelter.
And to know that you don't have to spend those first few hours when someone is trying to help you on a path towards safety and help you on a path towards healing, wondering if you can have those basic necessities is just one extra relief.
Since 2010, Kentuckians have bought and donated more than $4.5 million in goods for the Kentucky Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Shop and Share starts this Saturday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. at Kroger, Food City, Super Dollar, IGA, and Save-A-Lot stores across the Commonwealth. An alleged victim, a former UK basketball player and University of Evansville coach Walter McCarty, has hired an attorney. That female student says McCarty sexually assaulted her. The University of Evansville put McCarty on leave in December and fired him last week. Attorney Michelle Simpson-Tugel, who represents the alleged victim, released a statement. It reads in part, "When McCarty saw that the victim was in too vulnerable a position to protest his behavior toward her, he assaulted her. Thankfully, she reached out to a friend for support, and the assault was reported to the university." A Wolfe County native is ready to make his mark in Nashville. Tyler Booth just inked a deal with Villa 40 Sony Music Nashville. Booth has been writing songs for years and performs regularly at Austin City Saloon in Corbin. His newest songs are called Long Comes a Girl and Where the Livin' Is.
And we're going to see a few more rain chances tonight and really as we head into the next few days. I promise sunshine returns. It's going to be a little bit. We also have warmer temperatures on the way. I'll tell you a little bit more about that coming up in just a little bit.
Plus, we'll take you inside the training canines and their handlers go through to keep drugs off the streets in eastern Kentucky.